All right, everyone, welcome into TDA After Dark. Show me and Justin have been looking to do for a very long time now, and to address it right away, we are actually friends.
Yeah.
We know each other. This is the first time we may be together on camera, but we've been looking to do something like this for a really long time. And basically, the show is just two guys talking about football in front of microphones or whatever else comes up along the way.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it, Pat. I know that it's going to be a lot different from the professional shows that we do normally, but it's definitely going to be a show I think Alabama fans can definitely get behind. Alabama football will be the main focus, but we may get off topic a little bit.
Yeah,
here
we'll see where it goes. I may talk about traffic or family life, whatever's going on. We'll try not to swear. Might need a cuss jar. I don't know, because late time things start flying sideways. But it's been an interesting year for us and for Alabama football, and it's about to rev up once again with spring football right around the corner.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Alabama fans are excited about it. I know both of us are excited to cover it because things change, especially in college football. It's just part of the culture. Things change every year. New players, new coaches with Alabama. They have had to experience a new coaching hall. So it is definitely a lot to look forward to this spring.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that's new. I mean, new coaches. Every year, Alabama loses a huge influx of coaches, and there's a bunch of new ones this year. I think like 4 or 5 major new staffers, including Bill O'Brien, who I know well. He was a New England Patriot, and for a couple of years took us to a Super Bowl, which we lost, but we won't bring that up. But it's really interesting to look at the offense that he's going to have at his disposal. Yeah, I mean, when you look at a guy like Bryce Young, who, in my opinion, will be the starting quarterback. I know it's a very hotly contested topic right now. Who's going to be the starting quarterback? And there's some people on Bryce Young's side, and there's some people on Paul Tyson's, and then maybe Jay Milrow. I don't know. That's more your department. Yeah. You've watched him more than I have, but in my opinion, I think it's going to be Bryce Young leading the team this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it definitely looks as if it is Bryce Young's job to lose. But I think to start off this discussion, I think we should go back to your experience with you being a New England Patriot fan and Bill O'Brien was the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, man. What did you see from a fan when you watched the Patriots offense? What are some of the things you think he is going to take to Alabama from that offense, from that experience?
Well, I think he's going to utilize the play action game a lot because that's kind of like the New England Patriots in that era of their franchise and of their offense. They really it was really dependent on Tom Brady being Tom Brady sometimes, but they like to get the run game involved to a degree just to offset the pass game because they had so many weapons. Because I think they had Wes Welker, Gronk, and Aaron Hernandez during that year they went to the Super Bowl. I think Deion Branch too. If I'm not mistaken, I'm sure people will correct me and call me not a true fan, but whatever. But I think he's going to bring in some new and creative stuff. I mean, when he was working with Deshaun Watson, even though it didn't really end well. Yeah. I mean, they had some pretty impressive offenses, and sometimes it was solely dependent on him. But when they had him, DeAndre Hopkins, and they were rolling, I mean, they were kind of tough to stop. Even though it was really a one-man show, and it's not going to be that at Alabama, obviously.
Yeah, let me ask you another question. I'm not that familiar.
I'm getting interviewed right now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with the New England Patriot team. I'm really not the biggest NFL guy. I'm more of a college, high school guy, but I know with some familiarity that I do have with the organization, they are not known to have like a big time running back. They sometimes have a plug and play guy. I guess I know. They had Corey Dillon at one point.
Yeah, they had Corey Dillon. He was awesome. But they have guys. But during Bill O'Brien's tenure, they had. I mean, look. Let me tell you. Let me think. Yeah, let me see if you even know who these guys are. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis?
Yeah.
No? Oh, you know him? Okay,
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Danny Wood. I think Danny Wood had pretty much the more popular one, or like Stephen Ridley. I think LSU. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of a collection of like cast-offs that he's worked with in New England. That's kind of their deal. Get them in the bargain bin and just use them and turn them into something great. But at Alabama, I mean, he's obviously just working with so much more talent comparatively. Yeah. So when you look at the rest of the SEC, every single year they bring in all these great recruiting classes and great recruits, and he's going to have a lot of talent to work with. And so I think it's going to work more in his advantage because he's never had this many tools or this many things to play with on offense. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see. But at the same time, I mean, there's a reason why he got let go.
Yeah,
He's a little bit of a fiery guy, but
yeah.
I think he's probably gonna lock that in with Nick Saban just because of the Belichick connection there and how much respect they have for each other.
Yeah, and the thing that I think is interesting about Bill O'Brien being hired as Alabama's new offensive coordinator, what are the expectations for Bill O'Brien, because he's coming in after Steve Sarkisian, and Sarkisian had Alabama's offense operating at such a high level. Are Alabama fans expecting the same thing to happen, which it could happen, but
I can answer you that right now. Yes, they are. They're expecting the exact same thing. I think from a typical Alabama fan, someone who like follows football hardcore, looks at all college football, NFL, thinking about, all right, there may be some, some growing pains, some limitations maybe. It's not going to go as smoothly, but if you're just like diehard locked into that, just solely Alabama football, or you just know that the standard is greatness and it doesn't go well right off the bat, there might be a little bit of disappointment or just a little bit of tension there. I mean, you can't really fault them. That the standard is the standard, to quote Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I think the expectations are going to be really high, and I'm interested in seeing how Alabama fans will react if it is a bit of a slow start, because they have to go through some adjustments. Luckily, he does get hopefully he will get a full spring, a 8-day game, and possibly a full fall camp, and that would definitely help them out as far as them getting under him and learning his offense.
I mean, even having spring football and in a normal fall camp, that might even work into the expectation. I mean, do you even think? Well, I know Steve Sarkisian didn't have that last season, but do you think the expectation that's been set to where this offense has to put up 40 points, 35 points per game, do you think that's fair, even with all the turnover that they've had on offense?
I think you could take a look at this from two different perspectives.
Yeah.
As a regular football fan, analyst, you can expect some things to fall off a little bit, but if you look at it from possibly the way an Alabama fan would look at it, the way Alabama has consistently had coaching turnovers and all of that, I don't see them not expecting their team to get 40 points and keeping the train rolling. And if it is not at that level, I don't know how fast we will see the Bill.
The thing is, I don't even think that if a fan expects them to put 40 points per game, yeah, it's unrealistic, but it's not a bad thing, because they're still holding them to that great standard, and it's only gonna make them mad, if anything. It'd be like, oh, look, we are dealing with all this, so we gotta do better. So it may only just fuel them. But yeah, from like you were saying, from like the analyst point of view, and put on my my Big J hat here for a second, I do every year you gotta try to wipe the slate clean as much as you can, even though we know it's Alabama, we know they're gonna be really good. Okay, they always get, like I said, like you've covered extensively, they have one of the best recruiting classes they've ever had coming in.
Yeah,
just from like the ratings and even the talent level, that's just what's on the tape. So they'll probably eventually get there, but it's going to take some time. Is what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah, I think Todd fans should be excited for what he can bring to the table with that NFL experience. But going back to what you was just talking about with the new faces coming, especially with the early enrollees, guys who will participate in the spring game, they're going to go through the whole full spring practice. There's some new names to definitely know. I know you like a couple of guys. I know I've covered every single one of them, so I'm pretty familiar with them. But who is a guy that you feel that you are really excited to see during the spring?
Well, it's going to be a really, really boring pick. A couple boring picks, actually, because I was an offensive lineman in high school. Yeah. I love the big boys. I want to see what the Brockermeyers do, and I want to see what J.C. Latham does. So you think those three guys are players that can force their way into playing right away? Because I know this offense could be, because Alabama's recruitment of the offensive line it's been pretty impressive over the last few years. They have a lot of talent stockpiled there, but there's no real separation going into the spring. Like, this person is penciled in or penned in as the starter. Even like Evan Neal, obviously, and maybe there's a couple others who played it very sparingly last season. But which of the young guys do you think is going to step up here and has a chance to kind of break through?
Well, I think J.C. Latham and Tommy Rockmeyer have the best path because they are tackles. The Tide did lose Alex Leatherwood at the end of last season, so I think the path is more clear for them. I don't know if James Brockermeyer will get an opportunity, would definitely get an opportunity, but I think the path is a bit more crowded. When you look at the Tide roster, of course, they have Darian Dalcourt at the center position. They have Emil Ikior, who could play center, and they also have Chris Owens coming back. So that center room is loaded.
Yeah, it's pretty loaded. And all those guys can play offensive guard too. They're pretty all really versatile.
Yeah, so I think J.C. Latham and Tommy Brockermeyer have the best opportunity. And it's kind of hard to choose which one you think has the best opportunity because
Latham was ranked higher than him, right? From where did you rank? Where would you put him in your rankings?
Latham was right at the top. He was the number one recruit according to our Touchdown Alabama independent recruiting rankings, and I put him there because of his athleticism and just the agility that he brings to the football field. If you saw this guy, you look at him, you say he may be in defensive tackle. I don't know if he's in. I don't think I would say offensive tackle when I saw him walk into a room. I think I would kind of think defensive tackle. I think that would be more of the position I would think he plays because he carries that 300 pounds really well. He moves really well for a 300 pounder. But when you look at Tommy Brockermeyer, of course, his dad is a former NFL offensive lineman. Him and his brother are trained to be NFL offensive linemen. I remember when I talked with their dad, he always told me, I've been training them to be NFL offensive linemen for the longest. So that's the way that they have been trained over the last couple of years. So expectations, I think, are pretty high for both of these guys, especially their future in Tuscaloosa. But it's sort of hard to pick who will jump over the other. I sort of give the edge to J.C. Latham, but I think the job or the possibility of both of them pushing for a starting position is definitely something worth noting, man.
All right, I think we bored everyone else. I think we bored everyone enough with lineman talk. Who do we see in the receiver coming in? Because I know returning, I think Xavier Williams is intriguing to me, just because he really wasn't like super talked about heading into last season as like a guy in the waiting, because it was Waddle, Smitty, Mechie. Those are three guys that are leading us. Slade Bolden was able to get some playing time there, but it seemed to me, when you watch the games, whenever Smitty went out when Alabama was up by 40, Xavier Williams was in, and it's like, oh wow, this is kind of interesting that he's been the one to kind of break into that second string spot so early. So I think I think he only had 2 catches last season, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I don't know, I got the numbers in front of me, but I think it's interesting to me to see someone who just kind of flew under the radar the whole time, and now no one's even really talking about him because there's so many other exciting guys coming in with this class.
And I think that has been the story of his whole time in Tuscaloosa. Just him coming into the University of Alabama in 2019, I believe. Just looking at the class he was behind. When you look at that 2018 class, when you look at Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, and also Devontae Smith, I think he sort of fell under the radar because he came in after those guys. And those guys have been so successful ever since they were freshmen, and by the time
it's one of the greatest collections of receivers ever.
Yeah, by the time he got there, they were pretty established because they had pretty successful freshman seasons. Although Jerry Jeudy did not have the best freshman season, Alabama believed in him enough to knew that he was going to eventually break out because he did have that breakout game in the spring game a couple of years ago. So I think that is the story of his career. But I think he definitely is a guy to watch out for. I think he is one of the favorites to possibly snag a position this spring. But talent is everywhere in that room, man. Everywhere from top to bottom. You can rattle off the names. Just Christian Leary, JoJo Earl, Ja'Cory Brooks, A.J. Hall, Slade Bolden, John Mechie. You just rattle off so many different names. Friction Holden, Thayou Jones-Bell, Javon Baker. That room is loaded, and it's
how many spots they got in receiver? I mean, the depth chart doesn't run that. They can't run the whole thing that deep. I mean, there's just so many guys there. But